Hello out there. It's week 13 of the NFL season, which means it's week 13 of the MCC season, which means it's the week 13 edition of the MCC News. I am your host, 5-time MCC champion, Alan Morrow. Now it's Thanksgiving week. It's Wednesday. We don't normally record on Wednesdays, but it's Thanksgiving tomorrow. We have 3 games tomorrow. Let's get to it. No time to waste. All right, the rewind, the recap. High points Lee. This is second straight week Lee has won high points. Like I said, he's putting together one of the most impressive back-to-back seasons in MCC history. He'll have to win the championship again for it to be the most successful back-to-back season, as I still hold the 2 most successful back-to-back seasons with having 2 separate back-to-back champion reigns. But this is his 3rd time overall. He won it with a 138.02 score. I beat Gabe by, I think, like a point or 2. So we snuck out this one from Gabe. Unfortunate for him. Low points, Tyra. This is Tyra's 2nd time winning low points. He had 77 points on the week. First time was all the way back in week 6. Closest matchup. We had Adam over Ben. Big win for Adam. Another foreseeable loss for Ben. That this is the 3rd time, I should mention that Adam beat Ben by 13.78 points. Only 3rd time this season out of 12 weeks so far. Our closest matchup has been by double digits. So, even a double-digit win, none of the games were that close this week. But most of the time we have a single-digit one. So congratulations to all of us. The biggest blowout, James over Doug. James beat Doug by 41.28. Doug's in a bad stretch.38 2 of 3. One for not starting a kicker, snuck out a victory last week, but needed Taysom Hill to score 38 points to win that one. So obviously the Ravens offense is starting to struggle a little bit. He's starting to struggle. Ravens are on bye next week, so this is a big week for Doug, who's trying to earn that first week playoff bye. But with that, this is the first time James has had the biggest blowout on the season, and also the first time Doug has been on the receiving end of the biggest blowout. Honestly, with Lamar and Derrick Henry, he's been putting up points typically most weeks. And then last, only if I had a different schedule, Jeremy wins it this week with a score of 109.34 in a losing effort to Gabe because Saquon Barkley went off. He would have beaten 7 other teams. This is the first time Jeremy has won the category that he essentially inspired last season by complaining that his team, who finished with like 3 or 4 wins, would have been in the playoffs, maybe won the championship, only if he had a different schedule. But that didn't account for the crappy team he put together last year. And, obviously this year he's just living up to the standards he set last season. So there we go. That's our rewind. Let's jump into the matchup of the week. It's all of them. All of them have playoff implications. I'll quickly start. Myself, 6-6 versus James, who's 5-7. Essentially, if James loses, he's eliminated from the playoffs. James win, he can sneak into that 6th spot. Same thing. Will versus Adam. Adam's trying to win to get into that playoffs. I think Will, with the big loss last week, might actually be out of playoff implication, but he can still play spoiler. Tyra, 6-6 versus Lee, 10-2. Tyra, currently on the outside looking in right now in the playoffs. I have the tiebreaker over him, so it's a big W that Tyra needs this week. Doug, 8-4 versus Jeremy, 3-9. Doug, like I said, he's been struggling. He has all his Ravens, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, and Lamar Jackson are on bye next week. So this is a major he needs this W. This is if he doesn't win this week, it's unlikely he could win next week with a bunch of scabs out there. So Doug, to try to get that first round bye, this is a must-win week for him. Jim, 8-4, trying to supplant Doug, first round bye, is playing Ben, 4-8. Ben's just happy to be here. At this point, he's happy that he can put a roster of 9 players together that all get snaps in an NFL game. And then Gabe, 7-5, another one to try to make a last minute rush to get that first round bye. Versus Schrader, 6-6. Schrader, I think if Schrader wins this, he basically locks up a playoff spot. If he loses this one, he'll fall back, and perhaps maybe somebody can overtake Schrader. So another big win. Like I said, they all have playoff implications. Everybody has something to play for. Set your lineups. All right. So what are the chances of me making the playoffs? We kind of went over this last week. This week we're just going to do with the results and see where things have changed. Lee, with a win, still has a 100% chance of making the playoffs. And actually, he's actually locked up the first seed overall. He's high in the points for. He won't be able to, even if he loses both weeks, it's unlikely somebody will be able to catch him in points for in the tiebreaker. So he has essentially locked up that first spot already. Doug, with a loss, he still has a 100% chance of making the playoffs. Good news for him. He's still most likely to receive the second seed. That's what the number in the parentheses means. That's what seed your highest percent most likely seed is the second seed. But like I said, not counting, the system doesn't count for buys, and it doesn't know that Doug is going to be struggling next week. Jim with a W, he went from 90.7%. Now he has a 99.8% chance. Jim has essentially locked himself a playoff spot. Congratulations to Jim. He did it much earlier this season than last season. Gabe, the same thing. He had a 95.7% chance. Now with another win, he's also at a 99.8% chance of making the playoffs. So Gabe's trade deadline acquisitions are paying off, making him a strong push to get that playoffs. Schrader, with an L last week, went from 87.5% chance of making the playoffs. He dropped a few points to 84.2% chance, still in that fifth seed. Tyra is one of the biggest losers from last week with that L. He went from a 53.7% chance to an 18.3% chance. So Tyra has some work to do in these last 2 weeks to try to get back in that playoff spot. Now the teams that were out of the playoffs last week and where they are now. Myself with a big win, I went from a 43.5% chance all the way up to an 81.4% chance, still with that 6th seed most likely. Will, unfortunately, went from a 13.4% chance, received the L against me, and now he has a 0% chance of making the playoffs. But he can still play spoiler. Go Will. Adam went from a 15% chance. He actually dropped with a W. He dropped to a 12% chance. But he went from likely to be the 8th seed to the 7th seed. So once again, but there's still hope for him. James, one of the bigger winners as well with a big W. He went from a 0.44% chance to a 4.4% chance making the playoffs. Once again, moving up a likely seed from 10 to 9. Ben, with the loss, he went from a 0.13% chance to a 0% chance, still in the 11th seed. Jeremy is still at 0% chance and a 12th seed regardless. So Jeremy didn't move much there. And with that, Jeremy's check-in, not much has changed here as well. All the teams are still the same. Obviously, Adam and James are his last hopes to sneak in to be able to win this bet for Jeremy. So Jeremy's rooting for you, James and Adam. All right, Fab Thoughts. Tyra's Fab Thoughts. Quick, only 5 waiver claims. Not much action this week. Keenan Allen went to Jeremy for $15. Schrader spent $11 on Young Ho Koo, trying to lock down that kicker position. Will picked up a potential starting running back in McNichols for free. Good thing he lost J.K. Dobbins, it sounds like, for a week, maybe a couple other weeks. And then Ben double-dipped on the defensive pickups, both $0 pickups. He picked up the Cowboys defense and the Bills defense for this week. So with all that, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, let's go Lions. Fuck the Bears.